Hi, this is Matthew. I'm going to talk about another Rolling Stones album here. We're going back to 1989 for Steel Wheels. There's also a singles collection from the Apco Klein, Decca London, all that era to go over, and a live album, Flashpoint, also to go over with 2 new studio tracks on it. I have not heard those yet, but I will at some point hear those before the next album. Plus there's a cool guest star on one of the live tracks. A little Easter egg from an earlier album that was live. I know I mentioned before, but we'll go to 89. In the interim, Mick Jagger put out a studio album, so Keith Richards. It was Mick Jagger's second. It was his first for Keith Richards. Somehow they were able to patch up things in the meantime. So everybody's back in full force, so ready to go and make an interesting album of material. This will be Bill Wyman's last time, though. He had threatened to leave the band for about 10 years. He does so in 93, so by the next album he will not be there. I guess Ron Wood had been on salary. He then becomes a full band member after Bill Wyman unfortunately leaves to do, I'm not sure what all he does after this, but that happens in the interim between albums that we'll get to. But this is his last full album, even though he doesn't leave until 93, but there's not an album until 94. So I'll mention it here, I think. And we'll see who they come up with to replace him. I really like this one. Some neat stuff on it. Pretty much just very much like a Rolling Stones album from before the kind of that we don't know what we're doing phase of the band. Much better overall production. Even though there were some singles off of it. It did pretty well, chart wise. So. They put a pretty solid little piece of work here, which we have. Let me go pull up the Steel Wheels Wikipedia article. We have the following tracks. On side 1. This is also their first digital release, by the way. Apparently so. I'm assuming that means off tape. If that's correct. They're probably using what are called DAT tapes, which I'm not sure if they're still being made or not, but they are basically glorified VHSs that only do audio. I have seen them. I took an audio class once. We mostly use those. They also have what are called ADATs, which to me look like little VHSs you would stick in a camcorder, but it was the same kind of a thing. There's multiple tracks and all that kind of thing you can record on. Mostly DAT, but there was some ADAT stuff being done at Missouri State that I took. Because it was still SMS at that point. It's Missouri State now. We have the following. We start with Sad to Sad, Sad. And then Mixed Emotions. Terrifying. Hold On to Your Hat, which is a great title. Hearts for Sale. Blinded by Love. There's another, and then we have Rockin' a Hard Place, which is, I really thought that was quite catchy. That was one of the singles. I really kind of enjoyed that one. I mean, it wasn't as much on lyrics, but I just enjoyed kind of the whole thing. It was very catchy, and I enjoyed it. Can't Be Seen. Almost Hear You Sigh. Continental Drift, which was kind of an Eastern influence thing. Break the Spell. And then Slipping Away, which I believe that the last one is a Keith Richards song, and so was, where did that go? I believe it was on almost, I think it might have been Can't Be Seen, was the other Keith Richards track, if I recall. Our personnel this time, Mick Jagger is on lead vocals, or 8 and 12. Yeah, I was right. Backing vocals, guitar, and harmonica, and shakers and keyboards. So that was Mick's contributions. Keith played guitar, acoustic guitar, and classical guitar, and lead vocals, and bicycle spokes of all things. Ronnie Wood on guitar and bass guitar and acoustic bass and a dobro, and backing vocals. Bill Wyman bass guitar, and that's it. Just sing where he played bass. Charlie Watts is drums. Additional people we have on here: Chuck Leavell on organ and piano and keyboards and Wurlitzer, so he's back again. Matt Clifford electric piano and keyboards and the clavinet thing. And harmonium and percussion programming and orchestration and strings. So busy guy, doing all kinds of interesting stuff there. Sarah Dash on backing vocals. Lisa Fisher backing vocals. Yeah, there's some female vocals on some stuff. Bernard Fowler backing vocals. Louise Jardim on percussion. Phil Beer on mandolin and fiddle. The Kick Horns on brass. I like that name. I really like that name. Roddy Lorimer trumpet. Oh, okay. All the guys on the Moroccan instruments on that track called the Master Musicians of the Jawa or something. It's all Moroccan. It's Arabic. I'm not quite sure what that all is, but there was a whole slew of guys playing cool sounding instruments on that track, Continental Drift. Go check that out. It's kind of neat sounding stuff there. Starts are kind of slow, then it kind of builds and comes back to the slow parts. Neat track, neat sounds going on there. If you like Eastern kind of sounding instruments or just unusual sounding instruments, this is your track. Sonny Morgan was also on backing vocals. Tessa Niles, the same thing. Chris Jagger was literary editor. I assume it's Mick Jagger's son, maybe? Technical design people. Christopher Mark Potter was a recording engineer here that came in to help, I guess. Assistant engineer Rupert Colson. It was at Air Studios in Montserrat, if I recall. Making another Beatles connection. That is George Martin's studio that he did, late 70s or the early 80s, I think, started up Air on the island, which I know Jeff Emmerich, one of the main engineers, went and did some stuff, helped him with some things. The recordings were done here. I don't know exactly how many or who all, but a lot of big names were at Air at one time or another. Michael Brower and Christopher Mark Potter and Chris Kimsey all mixed it. Chris Kimsey did some other kind of assistant engineering jobs on the last several albums. So he's back in some form. Art direction and design was John Warwicker, I think is how you pronounce that. Logo design Mark Morton. Mastering Ted Jensen at Mastering Sound again in New York. And that is all for the technical people. Yeah, cool album, and some good Keith vocals as well as Mick vocals, of course, and other solid playing. There's some really nice drumming by Charlie Watts in places. He seemed to be on top form again. Nothing unusual there. We'll jump to the Flashpoint. We'll jump to the singles collection because it's the same year. Really quickly. This was the last Sony album, by the way, left for Columbia. They'll move to Virgin after this, and I think they might still be with them, the Rolling Stones records. Moving their stuff to Virgin, I believe. I think that's right. I'm not sure. There it goes. Okay. It's the singles collection, the London years 1963 to... it's just the London years, basically covering 63 to 71. A few tracks aren't there, but they will pop up later on. But it's mostly complete. I guess Klein didn't have all the rights to everything yet, so there are some other collections to come in these box set forms. This was a 3 CD or a 4 LP set. Disc 1 has Come On, I Want to Be Loved, which is a Willie Dixon, Come On, Chuck Berry. I Want to Be Your Man was a John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and the Beatles also did it on their second album with the Beatles. Or here, I guess you would say Meet the Beatles. I think that was our first album. Has that on it, if I recall. It's mostly that with the Beatles track selections. Stoned, which was one of theirs, the Ningerfeld thing. Fade Away was Buddy Holly. Little by Little, It's All Over Now, which of course is a big one for them. Good Times, Bad Times. Tell Me, that original. I Just Want to Make Love to You. Time Is on My Side. It's I believe, the organ version. Congratulations. I've not listened to this at the moment, but I'll poke at it tonight maybe when I go grab Voodoo Lounge. I might look at these in a little bit and see. Mostly mono, of course. Cinnamon Rooster, which I love that track. Off the Hook, Heart of Stone, What a Shame, The Last Time, Play with Fire, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, The Inconsistent West Coast Promotion Man, Spider and the Fly, Get Off of My Cloud, I'm Free, The Singer Not the Song, As Tears Go By, Disc 2, Gotta Get Away, 19th Nervous Breakdown, Sad Day, Paint It Black, Stupid Girl, Long Long While, Mother's Little Helper, Lady Jane, Have You Seen Any Mother Baby Standing in the Shadow, Who's Driving Your Plane, Let's Spend the Night Together, Ruby Tuesday, We Love You, starting a few psychedelic tracks here, Dandelion, which is great, She's a Rainbow, 2,000 Light Years from Home, In Another Land, which is a Bill Wyman tune, written, The Lantern, okay. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Title of the Moon, and disc 3 has Street Fighting Man. Oh, it's the Baker's Banquet version, apparently. No Expectations, Surprise Surprise, Honky Tonk Women, You Can't Always Get What You Want, Memo from Turner. Oh, it was a Jagger single, apparently. Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, of course, I Don't Know Why, Try a Little Harder, Out of Time, Jabbing Sister Fanny, Sympathy for the Devil. Oh, it's a 6-minute, 24-minute version and that's cool. So check that out if you want a longer version of Sympathy for the Devil. Go and check out this version. Interesting. I wonder where they increased it. And that is it. Of course, Andrew Golden, I guess, compiled this. He was still around. So that's just that. You might check that out if you kind of wanted just to have all of the early stuff in one spot. Want to check out some of those lesser-known songs. Especially if you haven't caught Come On or I Want to Be Your Man yet. Yeah. Nice early collection. Some things were popped up later, but this was the first really big box set that they had. So it's notable for that at least. And then we'll jump to 91 for the live album called Flashpoint, which has 2 studio tracks, which I will definitely go here in a second, because I have not and didn't quite realize that was a thing. I hadn't quite looked past 89. Various kind of dates in here and in Europe. Intro with Continental Drift on it. Start Me Up in Clemson, South Carolina. Sad, Sad, Sad in Atlantic City. Miss You is at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. So they must have been the halftime performance there. That would have been cool to have known. I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. Rockin' a Hard Place is from the Gator Bowl also. Ruby Tuesday is the Tokyo Dome in Japan. I bet that was a neat show. You Can't Always Get You Want from the Gator Bowl again. Factory Girl from Wembley Stadium in England, of course. Great soccer stadium and concert venue. Can't Be Seen is from the Clemson, South Carolina Memorial Stadium gig. Little Red Rooster is Atlantic City Convention Center. Of course, that's in New Jersey. Painted Black from the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona in Spain. Something for the Devil is the Tokyo Dome. Brown Sugar is from a date in Italy, from Stadio dell'Alpi in Turin, Italy. Okay. Superjack Flash is from the Tokyo Dome. I Can't Get No Satisfaction is from the Memorial Stadium in Clemson, South Carolina. I believe that's where assuming it's where Clemson maybe plays football or basketball. I'm not sure which, or maybe they have different venues now. But High Wire is the studio track. Paints about the Gulf War, apparently. And then you have Sex Drive, which I think this is a dance number, kind of like a James Brown type song, apparently. Oh, Rockin' a Hard Place and Can't Be Seen were not on the vinyl. So if you ever find it on vinyl, you'll miss those two tracks. So you might want to hunt out the CD version if you want a complete album. Get the CD version somewhere and get it. Of course, it's on digital. It is there. So it's just the vinyl is missing those. So any streaming version will have them included. Well, there's the cassette tape version, however. We have, and let's see what that's all about. How different was the cassette tape? Well, we'll see. We have a track listing. Intercontinental Drift, Start Me Up, Sad Sad Sad, Miss You, Rockin' a Hard Place, Ruby Tuesday, You Can't Always Get What You Want, Factory Girl, Sex Drive. Interesting. Okay, it's going to be a much shorter album, I would say. Can't Be Seen, Little Red Rooster, Painted Black, Simply for the Devil, Brown Sugar, Jack Flash, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, is High Wire. So they inverted the two new tracks. There's some other sides and B-sides and charity stuff. We have, these were B-sides. 2000 Light Years From Home is from Barcelona. It's on the single for High Wire. Give Me Shelter from the Clemson gig is a charity disc. Harlem Shuffle from Tokyo, a different venue. I guess there was a single live version of Ruby Tuesday from this, and that was one of the variants of that. As Want to Make Love You is from Wembley. It's on the High Wire single. Play With Fire is from Clemson again. Is there on the Ruby Tuesday single? So the CD singles usually had about 3 or 4 tracks on them. So Street Fighting Man is from Wembley. Was on a maxi single for Jumpin' Jack Flash apparently. I'm not sure what those were like. I forget. Atomic Dice, Wembley. Was on a single for Jumpin' Jack Flash live. On a cover of the Night from Atlantic City. Was on the Ruby Tuesday one. And that is it. Our live guys were Mick on lead vocals, guitars, and harmonica, Keith on vocals and guitars, Ronnie Wood on guitars, Bill Wyman bass guitar, Charlie Watts drums. Additional people, Matt Clifford and French horn. Yeah, he's done that before, I believe. Chuck Lavelle keyboards and backing vocals, of course. Bobby Keys on sax, or Robbie Keys, depending on how it was written out in different albums, but usually Keys. So he's back again. Horns by the Uptown Horns are, I like that name, Arnold Hecht, Pearl Literal, and Bob Funkin' Kristen Saito. Oh, the Kick Horns are back. Okay, so they're back. So 2 horn groups, that's awesome. Bernard Feller backing vocals again. Lisa Fisher, same thing. Cindy Mizell backing vocals. Lola McBroom backing vocals. So those are just some different people here. Eric Clapton on Little Red Rooster. That's correct. The Eric Clapton. So go check that out if you like Eric Clapton soloing and stuff, because I know I do. And it's a good song, so. Barb Morton and Dave, Claire Mountain and David Hewitt did the live recordings. Bob Lovick was back on mastering duties again. He mostly does all those issues for Virgin for Rolling Stones releases. Christopher Mark Potter was the mixing guy. Fowler was backing vocals on Highwire. Kenny Kazuna backing vocals on Sex Drive. Tessa Niles, same thing for Sex Drive. Chris Kimsey and Mark Stent did the studio tracks. Mark Stent was, I guess, the overall engineer person. Assistant engineer Nick Hartley on Sex Drive and the Highwire. They'll do new studio songs. Gary Mountain and David Crow did the art direction. And that is it. So, yeah. I'll definitely have to go real quickly and check out those studio tracks really quick. Just to get a feel for what you might be hearing on Voodoo Lounge. I'm not sure if they'll be similar, but they did have a couple new studio tracks. So it's those alone would be good to have this if you want to collect Stone stuff that was new, especially at the time, but even now, it probably doesn't pop up anywhere else, I wouldn't think. Probably only on here. At least I assume so. But yeah, I will definitely go give this a listen real quick. I'm sure they're very good. Yeah, but those were definitely made in between Voodoo Lounge, so good to know what those are all about. And yeah, gotta hear Clapton do Little Red Rooster for sure. I love that. That is awesome. Some good tracks there. Nice mix of old and new songs on this. So yeah, that's that. We'll move on now next time to Voodoo Lounge in '94 and see what that's all about. And I heard the albums after I've heard, but other compilations I might not have heard for sure. But definitely, 89-90 they toured on Steel Wheels, and I forget the other name of the tour, but I've spaced it out for some reason, not by accident, but accidentally I've spaced out what that was. But yeah, we'll move on to '94 and see their first Virgin release for Virgin Records, and see who takes over bass duties for Bill Wyman. I don't know if it's Ronnie Wood or what. Maybe it is. We will find out next time when I see you guys in another video.